Greetings and welcome back. This is Going Solo, your first amateur radio transmission. This is the Q&A section for Section 7. Which of the following can be used to enter the operating frequency on a modern transceiver? The keypad or VFO knob? What is the purpose of the squelch control on a transceiver? To mute the receiver output noise when no signal is being received. Which of the following describes the muting receiver audio controlled solely by the presence or absence of a RF signal? Carrier squelch. What is the term used to describe an amateur station that is transmitting and receiving on the same frequency? Simplex communication. Under what circumstances should you consider communicating via simplex rather than a repeater? When a station can communicate directly without using a repeater. What must an amateur operator do when making an on-air transmission to test equipment or antennas? To properly identify the transmitting station. Which of the following is true when making a test transmission? Station identification is required at least every 10 minutes during the test and at the end of the test. What is the meaning of the procedural signal CQ? Calling any station. Which of the following is a guideline used when choosing an operator frequency for calling CQ? You want to listen first to be sure that no one else is using the frequency. You want to ask if the frequency is in use, and you want to make sure that you're on the assigned band. All these choices are correct. How should you respond to a station calling CQ? Transmit the other station's call sign followed by your call sign. What is an appropriate way to call another station on a repeater if you know the other station call sign? Say the station call signs then identify with your call sign. So for example, if I want to call John KB1 EVY, I'll say KB1 EVY, this is N1IR. What should you do if another operator reports that your 2-meter signal were strong a moment ago, but now they're weak or distorted? You want to try moving a few feet or changing direction of your antenna if possible, as reflections may cause multipath distortion. What term is commonly used to describe the rapid fluttering sound sometimes heard from mobile stations that are moving while transmitting? It's called picket fencing. Which of the following applies when two stations transmitting on the same frequency interfere with each other? Use common courtesy should prevail. Well, if no one has the absolute right to an amateur frequency. So we have plenty of frequencies. So if you're interfering with each other, just move off to a different frequency. The Q signal indicates that you are receiving interference from the other station. It's called a QRM. Q signal that indicates that you're changing frequency. QSY. What proper operating activity includes contacting as many stations as possible during a specified period? Contesting. Which of the following is good procedure when contacting another station in a radio contest? You want to send the minimum information needed for proper identification and contest exchange. So for example, field day, our club call sign is N1IZ. So when I respond back, I'll say this is N1IZ. We are EMA 3A. So what that means is EMA is Eastern Mass, and 3A was 3 stations on battery power. So that is the exchange. So different contests have different types of exchanges, and they're published depending on the contest. But it's definitely a call sign and some other information. What is a grid locator? It is a letter number designated assigned to a geographic location. Why are UHF signals more often effective from inside the building than VHF? The shorter wavelength allows them to easily penetrate the structure of buildings. When using directional antenna, how might your station access a distant repeater if buildings or obstructions are blocking the direct line of sight? You want to try to find a path that reflects signals into the repeater. And that is the end of Section 7 Q&A.